Dad asking me to see my ballot before I submit mine? California. Background: I live at home with my parents right now. I haven't done my ballot yet, but my dad told me that he would drop our family's ballots off all at once, and that he wants to see mine before I seal it up. The reason for this is to make sure I'm voting correctly, he says. And he says he's not going to let my choices cancel his out. So if I put anything different than what he put down, he will likely argue with me and force me to change me vote. He is quite adamant about doing this, considering I have differing views than him on some of our state's propositions. I understand that him interfering with my ballot would be illegal, a federal offense. But if I argue this and seal mine up before he has a chance to look at mine, I worry that he may still threaten to kick me out of the house or cut me off financially, at least partially. Is there any way I can get out of this with a good outcome? 1. Mail it yourself when he doesn't see you. 2. Tell him you threw your ballot away because you didn't like the pressure he put on you. Don't let him force you to do anything else. Leave it at that. 3. Move out ASAP. He sounds insane. Take it to the drop box yourself, and the next time he asks about it, make a big show of hunting for it everywhere. Oops, it's lost. Too late to request a new one. Just don't let him pressure you into going to the polls in person. The fact that you have a ballot means you are 18 or older, and so legally are free to simply say no and turn your ballot in yourself. However, being 18 or older also means your father no longer has an obligation to support you financially or with a home. He doesn't need the ballot being different to choose to evict you from the home or cut off all financial support, and there is no legal method you could use to ensure he can't. That said, he is dangerously close to California's definition of voter intimidation, though, and if turning in your ballot without him checking it causes him to evict you, you can absolutely report that to the police. 18,540. A. Every person who makes use of or threatens to make use of any force, violence, or tactic of coercion or intimidation to induce or compel any other person to vote or refrain from voting at any election, or to vote or refrain from voting for any particular person or measure at any election, or because any person voted or refrained from voting at any election, or voted or refrained from voting for any particular person or measure at any election, is guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment in the state prison for 16 months or 2 or 3 years. You could definitely argue that vote for X or I will evict you is tactic of coercion or intimidation, but ultimately that would be up to police to decide, and it won't get you back in the house. Lastly, you can and should try to get your ballot in at a drop box, so it cannot be tampered with or destroyed. He can ask no is a complete sentence. He can cut off his support for his adult children over it if he likes. It's not quite into the territory of voter intimidation, especially as he hasn't actually said he'd do that. Just go drop it off yourself before he looks. It's not his business and he has no right to look at it. Fill it out, seal it, sign it, drop it off at your clerk's office, City Hall. Tell him you threw it away. If he keeps asking, tell him it's a federal crime. Nope. Turn it in. Say you've already voted. Drop your ballot off yourself. Only way to get around it. Alternatively, you can still choose to vote in person. Just take your mail-in ballot with you, as the poll workers may want to discard it depending on what state you are in. Can you go vote in person? If your ballot is destroyed, you can go and vote in person on election day at your usual polling place, or if your area has early voting in person, you can go vote in person early. Either way, your mail-in ballot is not your only chance to vote. You can rip your ballot in half right now and go in person, as long as you can actually leave the House between now and November 3rd. You can still vote in person, right? I mean, it's a risk, but it's an option if you can't get your mail-in ballot submitted in time. Then he has no idea. Rip it up in front of him? Tell him what the others said. You're not taking part in the election because of the pressure. Let me know if this is a dumb idea, anyone, haha. This will likely define if he'll be able to walk over you in the future. Don't give in. Take your ballot to a post box and drop it off. After that you can either tell that you sent it already or just pretend you threw it, say because of him. If you're afraid of confrontation or are dependent and don't want to get kicked out, you have the right to vote. Have your vote remain private and ensure it's counted. Dad has the right to do what he wishes with his money in his home, including cutting you off financially and legally evicting you. Tell him that you decided to not vote since you know that no matter what, your candidate will win or lose CA, since CA is a guaranteed Biden state. Then put your ballot in the mail ASAP. Go vote in person. Then you know your vote will be counted.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.